على عهدي على ديني على أرض تلاقيني أنا لأهلي أنا فديهم أنا دمي فلسطيني 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 أنا دمي فلسطيني.
Whether she's going to take the exact same path Biden did, do you think she's going to go against Israel? I think that that is an insane position to take, to be honest. Joe Biden is singular in his pro-Israel capitulation. There's never been a president, Republican or Democrat, who has been as right-wing as Joe Biden has been on Israel. Joe Biden has killed more Palestinians during his administration than any other president, Republican or Democrat. I think you're actually wrong and insane if you think that Kamala Harris's default position is the same as Joe Biden. Joe Biden is an insane extreme freak. Now, the only reason why people are like, you know, vote for Trump to say are not saying that is because Donald Trump is evil enough to be even worse or continue the status quo. And what I'm saying is, if she picks Josh Shapiro, if she leads into Israel and makes that actually a position, she's fucked. Because guess what? This historic flood of cash, that energy, it's going to dry up. It's going to be a disastrous fucking, you know, we're going to go to the convention, we're going to protest, and we're going to be wild out. We're going to go wild out there. We're going to say no votes for genocide Kamala. We're going to rip this party apart, and I promise I will. I promise I will. If I'm Kamala Harris, I'm picking up the phone to Joe Biden and I'm saying, we want a ceasefire now. I'm saying, what do you need to do? Can you get it done before the convention? That's what I'm saying, because it's sane. You take the Gaza shit off the table and opposition to Kamala on the left would be so much weaker. It's fucking insane to continue the status quo. What are they gonna do any differently? What's different? It's been almost a year of fucking genocide. What's the fucking difference? What, Hamas is going to be defeated? Hamas is nowhere near being defeated. Well, we're gonna do this for years? We're gonna kill hundreds of thousands? What's the fucking point of this? It's fucking over. Dumb question. Can people who max out on Biden donos max out to Kamala? My answer to that would be no. But there's super PACs to give to. Can you please explain AIPAC money? She probably took money from AIPAC or AIPAC associated people when she was running for Senate and when she was the VP. That's probably what they're talking about. Joining me in the chamber today is Hani Al-Mahoun, who has lost over 150 members of his extended family in Netanyahu's genocide. After witnessing his sister forced to eat animal feed, he and his family members were determined to start a soup kitchen to feed their starving neighbors. Rashid is getting arrested today. Rashid is getting arrested today. From what I understand, Dingus reactionaries keep mentioning 5 million. Here's the thing about AIPAC money. I only care about the policy. Are they continuing the genocide or not? Activists are blocking the roads for Netanyahu's motorcade. I love Greg.
All right, so here we are at 7th and Independence, Washington, D.C. We're here with Veterans About Face. They're obviously intent on getting arrested, blocking this intersection. So a bunch of congressional motorcades have had to reroute because you know, they're coming to listen to Netanyahu's speech. They had to push it back because of all the traffic disruptions. So we're just going to stay here. These guys are going to stay here until they get arrested. So yeah, it should be fun.
There is only one solution.
Level 10 hype train chat. We are 13 subs away from the sub goal. Medic effort, thank you, or effect. The medic effect, thank you for 1,500 bits. Thank you all for supporting the stream so generously.
All right, so here we are at
Let's
7th
fucking go.
in Independence.
Let's fucking go. That's on him making an insane demand regarding how to treat protesters during his speech. I expect him to humiliate Joe Biden during this speech.
The chair appoints as members of the committee on the part of the House to escort His Excellency Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister of the State of Israel, into the chamber. The gentleman from Louisiana, Mr. Scalise. The gentleman from Minnesota, Mr. Emmer. The gentlewoman from New York, Ms. Stefanik. The gentleman from Pennsylvania, Mr. Reschenthaler. The gentleman from Alabama, Mr. Palmer. The gentleman from Utah, Mr. Moore. Gentlewoman from Michigan, Mrs. McClain. The gentleman from Texas, Mr. McCall. Gentleman from New York, Mr. Jeffries. Gentlewoman from Massachusetts, Ms. Clark.
Jesus Christ,
Gentleman
pathetic
from
loser.
California, Mr. Aguilar. The
Fucking
gentleman
losers.
from California, Mr. Liu. The gentlewoman from Florida, Ms. Wasserman Schultz.
Oh my
Gentleman
God.
from California, Mr. Sherman. Gentleman from Illinois, Mr. Schneider.
These are
and
all the
gentleman
most
from New
pathetic
Jersey,
Zionist
Mr.
freaks.
Gottheimer.
The acting president pro temp of the Senate, at the direction of that body, appoints the following senators as members of the committee on the part of the Senate to escort His Excellency Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel, into the House chamber. The senator from West Virginia, Mr. Manchin. The senator from Arizona, Ms. Sinema. The senator from Pennsylvania, Mr. Fetterman. The senator from Kentucky, Mr. McConnell. The senator from South Dakota, Mr. Thune. The senator from Wyoming, Mr. Barrasso. The senator from West Virginia, Mrs. Capito. The senator from Iowa, Ms. Ernst. The senator from Montana, Mr.
All the
Daines.
people that really have a
Senator
lot
from
of Jewish
Iowa, Mr.
populations.
Grassley. The senator from Idaho, Mr. Risch.
Look at all these Zionist
All
sellouts,
members of
man.
the
Like
escort committee
incredible
will exit the
APAC
chamber through
APAC
the lobby
bot
doors.
politicians. Disgusting. Would Federbich put on a suit? Yeah, don't worry, he did. God, I hate this. He's such a scumbag. Oh God, he's such a piece of shit. God, these fucking freaks, man. These fucking freaks. Please to begin deploying tear gas and protesters outside the
Members of
Capitol. Yeah.
Congress that have the high
Wow, they have tear gas. You would have never known it on January 6th. There's Dean Phillips. Dean Phillips sitting next to some of the most disgusting Zionists in the entire thing. People coming and talking to Rashida. Oh boy. The squad are all skipping the speech. A bunch of people are protesting the speech by not showing up. So I think them skipping the speech and just not being there is a better move than going there. I mean, I guess going there and turning their backs, that's another thing they could do. But they're just literally skipping the speech. Because they're trying to send a message by skipping the speech. This guy is going to be under indictment for war crimes, and the U.S. is bringing him in to speak beneath the fasces of the U.S. Congress. Is Kamala skipping this shows her lack of international diplomacy? I think her skipping it is great. What are those axe symbols up there? Are those the fasces? Yes, that's what a fasces is. Working outside this corrupt Democratic Party that is totally undemocratic must build working class power to build independent workers' party to make a new system with these two minority parties. I am not against that. I don't see anybody charismatic enough doing it yet, or with a sufficient number of like followers. But I'm in favor of a dirty break. So I don't think you're necessarily wrong. I'm just trying to build up the trade union movement because I think that's our best bet to build class power. So my focus is on not doing a genocide, not doing a Cold War with China, and building up the trade union movement. Those are my main policy planks that I care the most about. And then obviously I do care about like student loans and medical debt and Medicare for all and you know, cutting back on the war-initiated, you know, criminal justice reforms, and I support all those things. Those are all important to me, obviously, but those are my top three. No Cold War, not doing genocide, and building trade union movement. Team, thank you for the fun.
Speaker, the Prime Minister of the State of Israel.
This is so fucking disgusting. Look at all these disgusting sellout freaks. Genocider. A genocider. Ugh. Can you imagine applauding a war criminal murderer? Can you imagine shaking his hand? I mean, like, think about the opportunism and the evil that you must have in your heart. Think about that. Think about how this is a selection of some of the most evil people on the entire planet. Oh my God. New York Senator shows up and shakes his hand. Pathetic. He didn't even shake Schumer's hand. He didn't even look at Schumer. These fucking cucks. These fucking cucks. Pathetic. If there's anything more damning about America, seal the deal? What does that even mean? I guess that means ceasefire now. Seal the deal. Families of hostages urge Netanyahu to take the peace deal. Okay, that's what it is. That's what it is. Hostages and missing families forum demand on Capitol Hill that Netanyahu sign deal. Wearing bright yellow shirts adorned with underlined bold red letters displaying the words "Seal the deal now."
Members of Congress, I now have the high privilege and distinct honor of presenting to you His Excellency Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel.
Ilhan invited him to go ahead of her. Okay, that makes sense. This is what your government is, chat. Every single person applauding is a fucking freak. And they are there because they're bribed. Remember that. This is a standing ovation for basically the Hitler of our time. The
Speaker
ribbons
of the
are about the
House,
hostages.
Mike Johnson, Senator Ben Cardin, Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, Senators, members of Congress.
This is what bipartisanship looks like, chat.
Guests. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for giving me the profound honor of addressing this great citadel of democracy for the fourth time.
Pathetic.
We meet today at a crossroads of history. Our world is in upheaval. In the Middle East, Iran's axis of terror confronts America, Israel, and our Arab friends.
Like
this
who?
is not a clash of civilizations. It's a clash between barbarism and civilization.
Barbarism is when you... Civilization is when you murder children.
It's a clash between those who glorify death and those who sanctify life.
This is all genocidal rhetoric.
For the forces of civilization to triumph, America and Israel must stand together.
Cinema not running for re-election. Manchin. And there's Fetterman. What a pathetic fucking loser. What a fat sack of shit. Manchin and Cinema and Fetterman.
Because
Loser.
when we stand together,
two losers.
something very simple happens.
Fucking Fetter bitch, man.
We win,
What a
they
disgusting
lose.
piece of shit. This is textbook genocidal rhetoric,
I
yeah.
came to assure you today of one thing. We will win.
Of what? Win what? Win what? Win what?
Ladies and gentlemen, like December 7th, 1941, and September 11th, 2001, October 7th is a day that will forever live in infamy. It was the Jewish holiday of Simchat Torah. It began as a perfect day, not a cloud in the sky. Thousands of young Israelis were celebrating at an outdoor music festival. And suddenly, at 6:29 a.m., as children were still sleeping soundly in their beds in the towns and kibbutzim next to Gaza, suddenly heaven turned into hell. 3,000 Hamas terrorists stormed into Israel. They butchered 1,200 people from 41 countries, including 39 Americans. Proportionately, compared to our population size, that's like 20 9/11s in one day. And these monsters.
Remember, because Israelis are worth more than Americans. Remember that, chat. But if you're an American who dies in Israel, you get the count for more. Okay? So, like, just by entering Israel, you become more important. Remember that.
They raped women. They beheaded men. They burned babies alive. They killed parents in front of their children and children in front of their parents. They dragged 255 people, both living and dead, into the dark dungeons of Gaza. Israel has already brought home 135.
I guess he didn't say they beheaded babies, huh? One soldier got beheaded in hand-to-hand combat, and he said beheaded men. Beheaded men. Okay.
One of those freed hostages, Noor Gamani, is here in the gallery, sitting near my wife, Sarah. On the morning
Can you imagine being a hostage that goes around and praises Netanyahu while other people are still stuck in Gaza? Like, the lack of solidarity with all those people whose lives could be saved is amazing.
On the morning of October 7th, the entire world saw Noah's look of desperation as she was violently abducted to Gaza on the back of a motorcycle. I met Noah's mother, Leora, a few months ago. She was dying of cancer. She said to me, "Prime Minister, I have one final wish. I wish to hug my daughter Noah one last time before I die." 2 months ago, I authorized a breathtaking commando rescue operation. Our special forces, including a heroic officer named Arnon Zmora, who fell in this battle, rescued Noah and 3 other hostages.
They indiscriminately shot like hundreds of Palestinian civilians.
Noah, I think it's one of the most moving things. When Noah was reunited with her mother, Leora, and her mother's last wish came true. Noah, we're so thrilled to have you with us today. Thank you. Many hostage families are also here with us today, including Eliyahu Bibas. Eliyahu Bibas is the grandfather of those 2 beautiful red-headed boys, the Bibas boys, toddlers. And they were taken hostage
Red-headed.
with their mother and and Eliyahu's son. The entire family was taken hostage. 2 beautiful red-haired children taken hostage. What monsters.
God, and they were blue-eyed,
too.
too.
Is Iris Chaim, whose son, Yotam, bravely
They were very
escaped
white.
Hamas captivity with 2 other Israelis, and tragically they were killed, making their way back to our lines.
By
We have
who?
with us also the families of American hostages. They're here.
One of the most depraved and evil men to ever live. Really incredible.
The pain these families have endured is beyond words. I met with them again yesterday, and I promised them this: I will not rest until all their loved ones are home. All of them.
How many Israelis have been murdered by their own military in this genocidal, indiscriminate killing?
As we speak, we're actively engaged in intensive efforts to secure their release, and I'm confident that these efforts can succeed. Some of them are taking place right now. I want to thank President Biden for his tireless efforts on behalf of the hostages and for his efforts to the hostage families as well.
Republicans love Joe Biden's support of Israel. No, Biden is sick.
I thank President Biden for his heartfelt support for Israel after the savage attack on October 7th. He rightly called Hamas sheer evil. He dispatched 2 aircraft carriers to the Middle East to deter a wider war. And he came to Israel to stand with us during our darkest hour, a visit that will never be forgotten.
How many votes is Biden winning over for Kamala Harris right now, do you think?
President Biden and I have known each other for over 40 years. I want to thank him for half a century of friendship to Israel and for being, as he says, a proud Zionist. Actually, he says a proud Irish-American Zionist.
So glad he's gone.
My friends, for more than 9 months, Israel's soldiers have shown boundless
Democrat
courage.
leaders.
With us today, is Lieutenant Avichai Reuven.
Lieutenant, so he must be 16 years old. God, they're so transparent, man. They're so fucking transparent.
Avichai is an officer in the Israeli paratroopers. His family immigrated to Israel from Ethiopia.
But they received a lot of racism.
October 7th, Avichai heard the news of Hamas's bloody rampage. He put on his uniform, grabbed his rifle, but he didn't have a car. So he ran 8 miles to the front lines of Gaza to defend his people.
He was poor because he's an immigrant.
You heard that right. He ran 8 miles, came to the front lines, killed many terrorists, and saved many, many lives. Avichai, we all honor your remarkable heroism. Another Israeli is with us here today, and he's stand up right next to Avichai. This is Master Sergeant Ashraf al-Bakhiri.
We found an Israeli soldier who isn't a general.
Ashraf is a Bedouin soldier from the Israeli Muslim community of Raat. On October 7th, Ashraf too killed many terrorists. First, he defended his comrades in the military base, and he then rushed to defend the neighboring communities, including the devastated community of Kibbutz Be'eri. Like Ashraf, the Muslim soldiers of the IDF fought alongside their Jewish, Druze, Christian, and other comrades in arms with tremendous
Did you guys know that they don't draft Muslims into the IDF? If you're Muslim, they don't draft you. Because, you know.
A third hero, Lieutenant Asa Sofer, is also here with us. Asa fought as an officer in the Tank Corps, and he was wounded in battle. He was wounded in battle while protecting his fellow soldiers from a grenade. He lost his right arm and the vision in his left eye. He's recovering, and incredibly, within a short time, Asa will soon return to active duty as a commander of a tank company. I just learned there is a fourth hero here, Lieutenant Jonathan Ben Chamo, who lost a leg in Gaza and continued to fight.
One of the rules on Twitch is you're not allowed to make fun of anyone's veteran status or injuries.
My friends, these are the soldiers of Israel, unbowed, undaunted, unafraid.
So I will not be doing that.
Says, Am kelavi yakum. They shall rise like lions. They have risen like lions. The lions of Judah, the lions of Israel.
This is just like meaningless pablum. This is just weird, man. Like, this is one of those cases where you can see, like, why are they applauding? Because they are scared, and they're also ambitious.
The men and women of the IDF,
The combination of greed and hatred.
every corner of Israeli society.
The most vile scum in all of humanity.
Every color, every creed, left and right, religious and secular. All are imbued with the indomitable spirit of the Maccabees, the legendary Jewish warriors of antiquity.
The
With us
freaks?
today is Yechiel Leiter, the father of one of those Maccabees. Yechiel's father escaped the Holocaust and found refuge in America. As a young man, Yechiel moved to Israel and raised a family of 8 children. He named his eldest son, Moshe, after his late father. Moshe became an exemplary officer in one of our elite commando units. He served with distinction for 2 decades while raising 6 beautiful children of his own. On October 7th, Moshe volunteered to return to combat. 4 weeks later, he was killed when a booby-trapped mine exploded in a tunnel shaft right next to a mosque. At his son's
Wow. This guy is such a genocidal maniac. I have to pause it here. Inside a booby-trapped tunnel next to a mosque, which means literally nothing. He's trying to say that mosques are actually where Hamas is high. So it's in a tunnel, not the mosque, right? Not in a mosque. Next to a mosque. Next to could mean anything, right? He's trying to make it seem like when they target mosques, it's justified. Very genocide. Can you imagine this? This is such freak shit, dude. Such freak shit. Like, can you imagine somebody be like, it was next to a church, which gives us permission to bomb your church? Like, what the fuck?
funeral, Yechiel said this: if the state of Israel had not been established after the Holocaust, the image engraved in our collective memory would have been the photograph of that helpless Jewish boy in the Warsaw Ghetto holding his hands up in the air with Nazi rifles pointed at him. But because of the birth of Israel, Yechiel...
Oh my God! This is fucking insanely fascist. He's basically going, without Israel, Jews would be weak victims, but now we are masters and dominant. We are not the weak Jews who died in the Holocaust. This is actually fascist, and this is insane. What the fuck are you talking about?
He continued, because of the courage of soldiers like my son Moshe, the Jewish people are no longer helpless in the face of our enemies.
What the fuck is he talking about? Now we are the ones pointing rifles at defenseless, innocent people.
Yechiel, please rise so we can honor your son's sacrifice. And I pledge to you and to all the bereaved families of Israel, some of whom are in this
He's going to make
today,
many more of your sons die.
Your loved ones will not be in vain.
By the way, chat. Mark Kelly, a possible Democrat VP pick, tells HuffPo he'd vote for the PRO Act if it today hit the Senate floor. Kelly has been a holdout on the pro-union bill. Unions loom large in our life, and I'm supportive of the PRO Act, he's told Igor Bobik. Do you see why organized power is always more powerful than literally anything? He's being bullied.
It will not be in vain, because for Israel, never again must never be an empty promise. It must always remain a sacred vow. And after
never
October
again for
7th,
us, but we're going to do it to the Palestinians is so disgusting, man. He's literally one of the most evil people on the planet. Oh my God. Like, I legitimately shouldn't watch this. I legitimately shouldn't watch this because it's not worth losing my stream in this community over. Like, legitimately, the only thing to be said can't be said.
My friends, defeating our brutal enemies requires both courage and clarity. Clarity begins by knowing the difference between good and evil. Yet incredibly, many anti-Israel protesters, many choose to stand with evil. They stand with Hamas. They stand with rapists and murderers. They stand with people who came into the kibbutzim, into a home. The parents hid the children, the 2 babies, in the attic, in a secret attic. They murdered the families, the parents. They found the secret latch to the hidden attic, and then they murder the babies. These protesters stand with them. They should be ashamed of themselves.
How many babies has he murdered in his life? How many babies? How many babies has he killed? How many babies has he bombed, knowingly bombing? I don't know what incidents he's discussing. Houses got burned down by the Israeli forces coming back to the kibbutzim and firing indiscriminately. So it's very likely that he's just making this up as a total lie. As if, and by the way, do you think 2 babies being killed violently would be enough to make you evil? They've killed way more Palestinian babies. What is this argument? It doesn't even make sense unless you literally just do not consider Palestinians to be human. It's just nonsensical.
They refuse to make the simple distinction between those who target terrorists and those who target civilians, between the democratic state of Israel and the terrorist thugs of Hamas.
If I say I'm targeting a terrorist, but I kill 100 times more than the person who's supposedly targeting an innocent, I am 100 times more culpable. What the fuck is he talking about?
We recently learned from the National Security
Yeah, they have
Director,
seat fillers there because Benjamin Netanyahu is being protested by like 100 members of Congress not showing up.
U.S. Director of National Intelligence, that Iran is funding and promoting anti-Israel protests in America. They want to disrupt America. So these protesters...
So in other words, he's calling us traitors.
Even on the 4th of July. And I wish to salute the fraternity brothers at the University of North Carolina who protected the American flag against these anti-Israel protesters.
That's the one who called, who used the racial slurs against the black woman who was protesting. Democrats clapping. Hey, what? Those frat boys were just at the RNC. Democrats clapping RNC propagandists. This is a pro-Republican comment he's making, by the way.
For all we know, Iran is funding the anti-Israel protests that are going on right now outside this building. Not that many, but they're there, and throughout the city. Well, I have a message for these protesters. When the tyrants of Tehran, who hang gays from cranes and murder women for not covering their hair, are praising, promoting, and funding you, you have officially become Iran's useful idiots. Some of these protesters, it's amazing, absolutely amazing. Some of these protesters hold up signs proclaiming gays for Gaza. They might as well hold up signs saying chickens for KFC.
Like, listen to this speech. The inartfulness of it.
These protesters chant
the just disgusting,
from the river to the sea,
fucking treasonous.
but many don't have a clue what river and what sea they're talking about.
This is Fox News, man.
They not only get an F in geography, they get an F in history. They call Israel a colonialist state. Don't they know that the land of Israel is where Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob prayed, where Isaiah and Jeremiah preached?
The person who called it a colonial state is the founder of Zionism. I think one of these things that needs to be said is just the absolute depravity of this speech.
And where David and Solomon ruled.
Here's Hakeem Jeffries. You're a Democratic leader.
For nearly 4,000 years, the land of Israel has been the homeland of the Jewish people. It's always been our home. It will always be our home. It's not only the campus protesters who get it wrong. It's also the people who run those campuses. 80 years after the Holocaust.
This is a man coming here and interfering in American domestic politics and being applauded. A foreign head of state interfering in American politics and being applauded. This is one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen in my life.
80 years after the Holocaust, the presidents of Harvard, Penn, and I'm ashamed to say my alma mater, MIT, couldn't bring themselves to condemn the calls for the genocide of Jews. You remember what they said? They said, it depends on the context. Well, let me give these befuddled academics a little context. Anti-Semitism is the world's oldest hatred. For centuries, the massacre of Jews was always preceded by wild accusations. We were accused of everything from poisoning wells, to spreading plagues, to using the blood of slaughtered children to bake Passover matzahs. These preposterous anti-Semitic lies led to persecution, mass murder, and ultimately to history's worst genocide, the Holocaust. Now, just as malicious lies were leveled for centuries at the Jewish people, malicious lies are now being leveled at the Jewish state. No, don't applaud. Listen. The outrageous slanders that paint Israel as racist and genocidal are meant to delegitimize Israel, to demonize the Jewish state, and to demonize Jews everywhere. And no wonder we've witnessed an appalling rise of anti-Semitism in America and around the world. My friends, whenever and wherever we see the scourge of anti-Semitism, we must unequivocally condemn it and resolutely fight it, without exception.
It's anti-Semitic to criticize Israel for killing 39,000 children. Pathetic.
And
39,000
don't be fooled
Palestinians.
when the blood libels against the Jewish state come from people who wear fancy silk robes and speak in lofty tones about law and justice.
He's talking about the International Court of Justice.
Here's a case in point. The prosecutor of the International Criminal Court has shamefully accused Israel of deliberately starving the people of Gaza. This is utter, complete nonsense. It's a complete fabrication.
You guys have said that you're not going to let food, water, energy go in, and it's going to be completely cut off. Every international aid organization has said that there exists famine. The Lancet just said they expect 200,000 people to die as the result of this war so far. There's possible polio spreading within Gaza because of the destruction of the public health system and the water purification system. Absolutely fucking disgusting.
Israel has enabled more than 40,000 aid trucks to enter Gaza. That's 500,000 tons of food. And that's more than 3,000 calories for every man, woman, and child in Gaza.
It's been 6 months. That's a day and a half of food. It's been 9 months, excuse me, not 6 months. 9 months.
If there are Palestinians in Gaza who aren't getting enough food, it's not because Israel is blocking it, it's because Hamas is stealing it.
So in other words, we have ourselves right now, the Democrats in Congress are literally, like, anybody who applauds this is literally, and I don't know if they're gonna, how many people are gonna applaud it, but before I press play, anybody who applauds this is a liar, and they know they're lying. It's that simple. Even Fetterman didn't stand up. But he is applauding it. Pathetic. Steny Hoyer.
So much for that lie, but here's another. The ICC prosecutor accuses Israel of deliberately targeting civilians. What in God's green earth is he talking about? The IDF has dropped millions of flyers, sent millions of text messages, made hundreds of thousands of phone calls to get Palestinian civilians out of harm's way. But at the same time, Hamas does everything in its power to put Palestinian civilians in harm's way. They fire rockets from schools, from hospitals, from mosques. They even shoot their own people when they try to leave the war zone. A senior Hamas official, Fatri Hamad, boasted, listen to this, he boasted that Palestinian women and children excel at being human shields. His words, excel at being human shields. What monstrous evil. For Israel, every civilian death is a tragedy.
That's, I mean,
Hamas,
they have a torture chambers, again, being leaked not by outside people, but by Israelis to reporters. I mean, this is just like the most disgusting and depraved shit. Like, this is actually distressing how evil this is.
it's a strategy.
And by the way, this has defeated any momentum for Kamala Harris for me. I think this speech has effectively destroyed any momentum for me with Kamala Harris. Yeah.
They actually want Palestinian civilians to die so that Israel will be smeared in the international media and be pressured to end the war before it's won. This would enable Hamas to survive another day and, as they vowed, to carry out October 7th again and again and again. Well, I want to assure you, no matter what pressure is brought to bear, I will never allow that to happen. The vast majority of Americans have not fallen for this Hamas propaganda. They continue to support Israel. And I want to say thank you, America, and thank you, senators and House members who continue to support us, continue to support Israel, continue to support the truth and see through the lies. But as for the minority that may have fallen for Hamas's con's job, I suggest you listen to Colonel John Spencer. John Spencer is head of urban warfare studies at West Point. He studied every major urban conflict. I was going to say in modern history. He corrected me, no, in history. Israel, he said, has implemented more precautions to prevent civilian harm than any military in history and beyond what international law requires. That's why, despite all the
That's why the International Criminal Court and that's why the International Court of Justice all disagree with you. Every single major human rights organization, every single major humanitarian organization, like this is like, I mean, to call it lies just is cheap. This is an exercise of power. This is an exercise of power. This is an exercise. This is like making someone you bully put their underwear in their mouth or something and say it tastes good. Like this is about force. This is about a feeling of domination. This isn't even propaganda. This is an effort to create despair. I can't stand with anybody who's a member of any organization that stands with this man.
As you've heard, the war in Gaza has one of the lowest ratios of combatants to non-combatants casualties in the history of urban warfare. And you want to know where it's lowest in Gaza? It's lowest in Rafah. In Rafah. Remember what so many people said? If Israel goes into Rafah, there'll be thousands, maybe even tens of thousands of civilians.
They've destroyed every single hospital in Israel. In Gaza. Israel has destroyed every single hospital in Gaza. There's nowhere to even count the bodies anymore.
Well, last week, I went into Rafah. I visited our troops as they finished fighting Hamas's remaining terrorist battalions. I asked the commander there, how many terrorists did you take out in Rafah? He gave me an exact number, 1,203. I asked him, how many civilians were killed? He said, Prime Minister, practically none, with the exception of a single incident where shrapnel from a bomb hit a Hamas weapons depot and unintentionally killed 24 people. The answer is practically none. You want to know why? Because Israel got the civilians out of harm's way, something people said we could never do, but we did it. These heroes here today, the heroic soldiers of Israel, should not be condemned for how they're conducting the war in Gaza. They should be commended for it. I want to thank all of you here today who forcefully opposed the false accusations of the ICC and stood up for the truth. These lies are not only libelous, they're downright dangerous. The ICC is trying to shackle Israel's hands and prevent us from defending ourselves. And if Israel's hands are tied, America is next. And I'll tell you what else is next. The ability of all democracies to fight terrorism will be imperiled. That's what's on the line. So let me assure you, the hands of the Jewish state will never be shackled. Israel will always defend itself. My friends, in the Middle East, Iran is virtually behind all the terrorism, all the turmoil, all the chaos, all the killing. And that should come as no surprise. When he founded the Islamic Republic, Ayatollah Khomeini pledged, "We will export our revolution to the entire world." We will export the Islamic revolution to the entire world. Now ask yourself, which country ultimately stands in the way of Iran's maniacal plans to impose radical Islam on the world? And the answer is clear. It's America, the guardian of Western civilization and the world's greatest power.
I just sped it up a little to catch up with live coverage because I paused it.
That's why Iran sees America as its greatest enemy. Last month, we heard a revealing comment, ostensibly about the war in Gaza, but about something else. It came from the foreign minister of Iran's proxy, Hezbollah, and he said this: "This is not a war with Israel. Israel," he said, "is merely a tool. The main war, the real war, is with America. Iran's regime has been fighting America."
So basically, he's trying to get us to go to war with Iran for Israel. That's what this whole section of the speech is about. Basically, how we need to be fighting a war with Iran for Israel. I can say right now, if Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, or fucking the Archangel Michael tries to get me in a war with Iran, they're my fucking enemy. I'll go to war with them.
From the moment it came to power. In 1979, it stormed the American embassy. It held scores of Americans hostage for 444 days. Since then, Iran's terrorist proxies have targeted America in the Middle East and beyond. In Beirut, they killed 241 US servicemen. In Africa, they bombed American embassies. In Iraq, they supplied explosives to maim and kill thousands of American soldiers. In America, they actually sent death squads. They sent death squads here to murder a former Secretary of State and a former National Security Advisor. And as we recently learned, they even brazenly threatened to assassinate President Trump. But Iran understands that to truly challenge America, it must first conquer the Middle East. And for this, it uses its many proxies, including the Houthis, Hezbollah, and Hamas. Yet in the heart of the Middle East, standing in Iran's way, is one proud pro-American democracy, my country, the State of Israel.
What is wrong with her? Is she dying?
That's why the mobs in Tehran chant death to Israel before they chant death to America. For Iran, Israel is first, America is next. So when Israel fights Hamas, we're fighting Iran. When we fight Hezbollah, we're fighting Iran. When we fight the Houthis, we're fighting Iran. And when we fight Iran, we're fighting the most radical and murderous enemy of the United States of America. And one more thing. When Israel acts to prevent Iran from developing nuclear weapons that could destroy Israel and threaten every American city, every city that you come from, we're not only protecting ourselves, we're protecting you. My friends, if you remember one thing from the speech, remember this: our enemies are your enemies. Our fight is your fight, and our victory will be your victory. Ladies and gentlemen, that victory is in sight. Israel's defeat of Hamas will be a powerful blow to Iran's axis of terror. Another part of that axis, Hezbollah, attacked Israel on October 8th, a day after the Hamas attack. It has launched thousands of missiles and drones against us. 80,000 of our citizens in northern Israel evacuated their homes, becoming effectively refugees in their own land. We are committed to returning them home. We prefer to achieve this diplomatically. But let me be clear. Israel will do whatever it must do to restore security to our northern border and return our people safely to their homes. Last Friday, a third Iranian proxy, the Houthis, attacked Tel Aviv with a deadly drone. It exploded a few hundred feet from the American consulate, killing 1 person and injuring 9. On Saturday, I authorized a swift response to that attack.
They arrested all of the members of the hostage families that had the Seal the Deal shirt on. They arrested them for having a shirt.
All our enemies should know this. Those who attack Israel will pay a very heavy price. And as we defend ourselves, on all fronts, I know that America has our back. And I thank you for it. All sides of the aisle. Thank you. My friends, for decades, America has provided Israel with generous military assistance, and a grateful Israel has provided America with critical intelligence that saved many lives. We've jointly developed some of the most sophisticated weapons on earth. I choose my words carefully. We've jointly developed some of the most sophisticated weapons on earth that help protect both our countries. And we also help keep American boots, we help keep Americans' boots off the ground while protecting our shared interests in the Middle East. I deeply appreciate America's support, including in this current war. But this is an exceptional moment. Fast-tracking U.S. military aid can dramatically expedite an end to the war in Gaza and help prevent a broader war in the Middle East. In World War II, as Britain fought on the front lines of civilization, Winston Churchill appealed to Americans with these famous words: "Give us the tools and we'll finish the job." Today, as Israel fights on the front line of civilization, I too appeal to America. Give us the tools faster, and we'll finish the job faster.
Oh, I thought he had a ceasefire proposal from his government. That was Biden's line, right? That was Biden's line. It was a ceasefire was proposed by Israel, and it was just Hamas that was stopping it. He's not even mentioning this fake ceasefire.
My dear friends, the war in Gaza could end tomorrow if Hamas surrenders, disarms, and returns all the hostages. But if they don't, Israel will fight until we destroy Hamas's military capabilities, end its rule in Gaza, and bring all our hostages home. That's what total victory means, and we will settle for nothing less. The day after we defeat Hamas, a new Gaza can emerge. My vision for that day is of a demilitarized and de-radicalized Gaza. Israel does not seek to resettle Gaza, but for the foreseeable future, we must retain overriding security control there to prevent the resurgence of terror, to ensure that Gaza never again poses a threat to Israel. Gaza should have a civilian administration run by Palestinians who do not seek to destroy Israel. That's not too much to ask. It's a fundamental thing that we have a right to demand and to receive. A new generation of Palestinians must no longer be taught to hate Jews, but rather to live in peace with us. Those twin words, demilitarization and de-radicalization.
They don't have a military.
Those two concepts were applied to Germany and Japan after World War II.
They don't have a military.
Decades of peace, prosperity, and security.
That's why you're able to massacre all the civilians. They don't have a military.
With the help of regional partners, the demilitarization and de-radicalization of Gaza can also
Israel
lead to a
just
future of
banned
security,
two-state solution in their
prosperity, and
Knesset.
peace. That's my vision for Gaza. Now, here's my vision for the broader Middle East. It's also shaped in part by what we saw in the aftermath of World War II. After that war, America forged a security alliance in Europe to counter the growing Soviet threat. Likewise, America and Israel today can forge a security alliance in the Middle East to counter the growing Iranian threat. All countries that are at peace with Israel and all those countries who will make peace with Israel should be invited to join this alliance. We saw a glimpse of that potential alliance on April 14th.
Okay, so the plan is to genocide the Palestinians completely out of and ethnically cleanse them out of the Gaza Strip and the West Bank and form a Jewish ethno-state with apartheid. That seems to be the plan. All the way from the river to the sea.
Led by the United States, more than half a dozen nations worked alongside Israel to help neutralize hundreds of missiles and drones launched by Iran against us. Thank you, President Biden, for bringing that coalition together. The new alliance I envision would be a natural extension of the groundbreaking Abraham Accords. Those accords saw peace forged between Israel and 4 Arab countries, and they were supported
Donald
by
Trump's
Republicans
foreign
and
policy.
Democrats alike. We could call
Another pro-Trump
I have a name for this new alliance.
comment.
I think we should call it the Abraham Alliance. I want to thank President Trump for his leadership in brokering the historic Abraham Accords.
Hey, another, he's explicitly pro-Trump. Pro-Trump. I'm glad that Biden invited him to come do this his Trump campaign speech.
Trump emerged safe and sound from that dastardly attack on him.
Hey, I want to stop here and just say this was a really good plan by the Democrats in Congress, because by inviting Netanyahu, I will not vote for Kamala Harris. Good job. You have successfully made me anti-Kamala. You have successfully done it. There was a period of time there where I was like, hey, yeah, let's give her some time. Yeah, nah. I don't give a shit if every single one of these Democrats get arrested. In fact, if Donald Trump promises to arrest these Democrats, now we're talking. I legitimately want to thank you guys for making me feel inescapable rage. And I'm going to make the DNC quite enjoyable when I get there in Chicago. It's going to be fun.
Democracy. There is no room for political violence in democracies. I also want to thank President Trump for all the things he did for Israel, from recognizing Israel's sovereignty over the Golan Heights, to confronting Iran's aggression, to recognizing Jerusalem as our capital and moving the American embassy there.
Look at this. And by the way, even if you're a Zionist, even if you're like, oh, but Biden has to be a Zionist, this is a campaign speech for Donald Trump. For all the super Zionists, you should vote for Trump. What a fucking loser the Democratic leadership is. What fucking idiots.
That's Jerusalem, our eternal capital, never to be divided again. My dear friends, Democrats and Republicans, despite these times of upheaval, I'm hopeful about the future. I'm hopeful about Israel because my people, the Jewish people, emerged from the depths of hell, from dispossession and genocide. And against all odds, we restored our sovereignty in our ancient homeland. We built a powerful and vibrant democracy, a democracy that pushes the boundaries of innovation for the betterment of all humanity. I'm hopeful about America because I'm hopeful about Americans. I know how much the people of this country have sacrificed to defend freedom. America will continue to be a force for light and good in a dark and dangerous world. For free peoples everywhere, America remains the beacon of liberty its extraordinary founders envisioned back in 1776.
I've just applauded a line that means no two-state solution. Yeah, I know. It's the two-state platitude. Everyone knows it's bullshit. Everyone knows the two-state solution is bullshit.
Working together, I'm confident that our two nations will vanquish the tyrants and terrorists who threaten us both. As Israel's Prime Minister, I promise you this: no matter how long it takes, no matter how difficult the road ahead, Israel will not relent. Israel will not bend. We will defend our land. We will defend our people. We will fight until we achieve victory.
How
victory
long
over
it takes, chat.
Victory of liberty over tyranny. Victory of life over death.
Joe Biden is going to hand the keys to Donald Trump.
And we will continue to work with the United States and our Arab partners to transform a troubled region from a backwater of repression, poverty, and war into a thriving oasis of dignity, prosperity, and peace. In this noble mission, as in many others, Israel will always remain America's indispensable ally. Through thick and thin, in good times and in bad, Israel will always be your loyal friend and your steadfast partner. On behalf of the people of Israel, I came here today to say thank you, America. Thank you for your support and solidarity. Thank you for standing in Israel, with Israel, in our hour of need. Together we shall defend our common civilization. Together we shall secure a brilliant future for both our nations. May God bless Israel, may God bless America, and may God bless the great alliance between Israel and America forever.
It really is amazing the level of stupidity of the Democratic leadership. They invite this war criminal to inflame every single tension within the Democratic Party that was starting to slowly possibly wane on the hopes that Kamala Harris might be different. And now you're forcing it right into my fucking face that this is what the Democratic Party is. And now I'm not going to support Kamala Harris unless she outright comes out here and calls for a ceasefire. She's lost that honeymoon. They destroyed the honeymoon. I hate these fuckers. I don't trust them. I'm not going to support Kamala Harris so she could do a genocide, just like I did support Joe Biden. Congratulations, you stupid fucks. You've destroyed all goodwill. Let's see who shakes his hand as he walks out. Who comes up after that lying, filthy speech? Wow, Fetterman, you got a handshake. He didn't even give you a comment. You fucking loser. All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with me today. It was an extremely infuriating speech. I don't think I could have been more pissed. I mean, obviously, I knew it was going to be a disaster. Oh, shit. Looks like, never mind. I think I have to cancel on that. Sorry. Looks like Fio's taking the day off, so I'm going to send you over to Hassan. I'm sure he's feeling the same way I am. Absolutely infuriated. There's really no other way of putting it. Thank you so much for all the support. It really does mean a lot. We'll be back tomorrow to deal with, you know, whatever the fallout for this is. Maybe it'll get buried. Who fucking knows? Maybe I'll, you know, Harris will put out some sort of feelers that make me think that this disaster genocide isn't going to be embedded for another 4 fucking years, no matter what we do. Did Netanyahu praise Kabul at any point? No. It was a Trump campaign speech. It was a Trump campaign speech.
The purpose of the joint meeting having been completed, the chair declares the joint meeting of the two houses now dissolved. The house will continue in recess, subject to the call of the chair.
All right, everybody.
Prime Minister Netanyahu has just wrapped his address of a joint meeting of Congress.
Thank you so much for that. That was fucking disastrous. Who thought this was a good idea? Legitimately, who thought this was a good idea? Fucking moron. All right, everybody. Stay safe out there. Solidarity forever and free Palestine. Destroy the occupier. Holy fuck.
In Washington, D.C.
No idea who Mike is.
Mike. I don't know who you are. I don't know where you are. But your name wanna start changing your ways. Change your ways. Or changing your name.